What's going on, guys? So this was kind of like a little impromptu video. I just hopped on here for a couple of minutes to answer a question. This wasn't scheduled, and I didn't even make any other groups or anything aware about it. It's just I just wanted to approach the audience and make this video because I get questions all the time just about home theater stuff and about two-channel stuff and just kind of my thoughts. Not that I'm an expert by any means, but I certainly get a lot of questions. So I just wanted to hop on here to answer a question that one of the most popular questions that I get actually is, why do you need so much power? Why do you need so many subwoofers? Why do you need it to be so loud? This doesn't make any sense. Are you stupid? So that's kind of why I just wanted to hop on here quick. And this is just a little bit more fun for me than to just sit here and type a book back to somebody and then have to retype the same book back to somebody else next week. Not that I gotta, write people back, but I usually, I enjoy the entertainment. So anyway, so now anybody can just look at this video when they have that question. So for me, as I was building my setups throughout the years, I was always the guy that would push the envelope, listen a little too loud, hertz speakers, hertz subwoofers. And in my journey, I was always looking to, I don't want to have to, after I have people over, or even if I'm by myself and I just watch a movie at a very spirited level, I didn't want to have to perform a health check on my subwoofers and my speaker and my gear. And so literally I'd have a couple people over, we watch a movie, go a little crazy, or listen to some music, go a little crazy. When they left, I'm the guy running test tones on each channel to make sure that the subwoofers, were okay, or regular speakers are okay. And I burned up so many subs and speakers throughout the year. So I was like, man, it would be nice to just build a system that I could listen to as loud as I want, be as violent as I want, pretty much to my personal limits, and not have to be like, oh shit, did I burn something up? Do I got to order some parts? So that, in my mind, that was more of an in-game setup to get to that point, that no matter how I wanted to experience it, that I wasn't hurting stuff. So that's why I ended up with how many subwoofers that I have in my theater, is because, especially if you want to go for the low hertz content, and people ask me all the time, well, why does 7 hertz or 8 hertz or 10 hertz or 12 hertz matter? And like I tell most people, if you're going to chase below 18, 19, 20 hertz, it's a lot of money for not a ton of reward, let's say, because most of the content that, is 20 hertz and above. But once you experience that below 20 hertz, you can't forget that feeling or get it out of your head. So once I experienced it, I was like, I knew I got to have that. Well, I bought one subwoofer that was capable of it, being the Captivator 4000. And I was like, man, that's pretty addictive. I need more of that in my life. So that was, you got to realize that the way you experience under 20 hertz isn't how you experience above 20 hertz. Like a test that you can run yourself is run a test tone at 80 hertz and then run that same test tone at 25 hertz. And you're going to see a huge difference in 90 dB at 25 hertz and 90 dB at 80 hertz. 80 hertz seems a lot louder. So to make it seem more natural, you need to bump that lower end up. So that's why I ended up with so many capable subwoofers below 20 hertz, because I wanted to have a lot of impact down into the single digits for the movies that do produce it, like some Black Hawk Down, and there's certain movies with submarine explosions, and that you can get decent 15 hertz and under, 10 hertz, and you get a lot of wind impact from the ports on the large ported subs, and it, as a chopper blade, swing through the room. Not only does it, you get the sensation in the room that there's really a helicopter in it, you get the wind from the ports, and there's no distortion, there's no chuffing, there's no subwoofers bottoming out. And when I'm done running that at a very high SPL, I didn't have an issue with oh man, I hope I didn't burn anything up. So that's why the low hertz was important to me. It's not important to everybody, and not everybody wants to spend that kind of time or put that kind of money into something like that. And I totally understand that. And a lot of people, you would be blown away by the amount of messages and emails. Shit, I might even got a handwritten letter from a guy once of just how stupid I am and I don't understand anything. I just think that they don't understand why the guys with, multiple large sealed subs or multiple large ported subs, that's the reasoning behind it. I think everybody's after their own certain experience, but if you want to go loud at low hertz, it takes a ton of power and a ton of drivers. I mean, there's no ways around that. And I think once everybody gets to, okay, that's certainly loud enough, I don't need to listen any louder than that. And that's pretty much like where I stopped and where other guys stopped. And we just want to create, so many people came into the theater and they experienced it like, oh, I've never experienced anything like that before. I would never do this personally in my room, but now I can respect on why you did that. Because it's funny, because 20% of the people that come over to the house to check out the system ain't even coming over to like check out the gear. They just don't understand it. They're like, why do you need all this? Well, if I just wanted to go super loud and I wasn't worried about going low in hertz, then I just have a bunch of like horn subwoofers or, like a Devastator box. I believe that they're tuned like around 20 hertz, but they have other boxes that are tuned like at 30, or like the orbit shifter and stuff like that, where you can still get good 20, 25 hertz performance, but then 30, 40, 50 hertz is just crazy insane. So if I just wanted to go silly loud and I wasn't worried about the hertz, I definitely could have saved a lot of time and a lot of money. But my point was I wanted to experience a super low ULF with a ton of impact. And when I had just one of the subwoofers, I got a small taste of that, but I wanted more, and I wanted it at more seats. So when I had people over, that they could experience it as well. So that's what brought me into getting so many subwoofers. Me having a small room certainly helps. I'm going to address one other thing too, is my room right now is my limiting factor anyway on dB. As I noticed when I added the last sub, I barely added anything into the room. I added a little bit more, like 8-9 hertz, like a dB, which actually is quite a bit when you're going from 6 to 7 subs. But I noticed that outside of my room, because I would measure outside of my room, and I was getting more dB outside of my room than I was getting inside my room. And what I mean by that is I was getting very, very minimal gains at like 20, 25 hertz, like a quarter of a dB by adding another sub. But outside of the room, I was gaining like almost a full dB. So my room definitely is my limiting factor. And I believe by changing my ceiling, because I got those acoustic tiles, and I go over to, when I'm going to do double thick drywall with green glue on the ceiling, that'll stop some of the sound from going upstairs and keeping more of the sound in the basement, which should just give me overall more SPL, which I'm not chasing because I don't use the system to its capabilities now, but very rarely. But that's my reasoning behind all this. So literally, guys, I was just hopping on for like 10 minutes to just kind of discuss on why I went the route that I went. And it might not make sense to people. And I got people coming over all the time, like I said, to just want to see what that's all about. But you burn up a lot of driver excursion. You burn up a ton of power when you want to go below 20 hertz. And just because you add on like 10,000 watts and a couple more 18s, people are like, well, that's absolutely insanity. Well, you're doing that like for a dB or two down at 10 hertz. So it's a lot of power, a lot of drivers to create that. That's why I'm at where I'm at. Any questions or comments, or you can call me stupid, shoot me a message. I don't care. I actually laugh for the people that give me a hard time about it. Is what it is. Me and my buddies, we sit around, laugh, or I'll screenshot and shoot it to them. So I just hopping on here quick. It's Sunday morning at my place. Everybody's sleeping. And I was just reading through some emails. And one guy goes, are you absolutely nuts? Are you out of your mind? Are you just stupid? This doesn't make any sense. I got 2 Klipsch 12s. I use them to their potential and they rock my whole house. I'm sure that they provide some bass punch at certain frequencies. But if you want to experience a lot of ULF download, then unfortunately, you're going to have to go beyond that. So, all right, guys, Wednesday night, me and Kat will be back on talking about our road trip, talking about our first month on YouTube. And next Friday night, I got Brandon Hill on, and we're going to be on here, talking about calibration, room setup. I know a lot of you guys have used him for remote calibration, so he's going to share some tips and tricks. And oh, see, I was trying to sneak by you guys and going live early in the morning. I didn't make any notifications, but I am getting a question. Justin Miller went from an SVS PB2000 to a PSA 18-inch, and it blows me away. And that's exactly my point, Justin. And I'm going to take a second to address this. Is me personally, as I worked my way through, and I got a whole nother episode coming in a couple of weeks where we're just laying it all out with subwoofers, big, small, ported, sealed, just everything from a bunch of different companies that just personal experience I've had. But I had 4 PB2000s, and they provide good bass. And Klipsch 12s, even if you pick them up for a couple $100, I mean, they provide bass for like the majority of the crowd. The price is right. They're readily available. Pretty easy resale value if you got to ditch them. But they just provide good bass and a good experience. You know, I had my fun with them throughout the years. But when you step up to like a PowerSound Audio 18 or a Rhythmic 18 or like a Funk Audio 18 or JTR 18, or, you know, there's people that are specializing in that ultra low frequency. But they come at a lot of costs, actually. The boxes are much larger, even the amplifiers are larger to draw more power, and obviously they cost more money. And actually, when I had all my PSA subs, I didn't have a problem moving them, but I lived pretty close to Chicago. I sold them all within a few days. And if I got in a bad financial pinch and I had to let some of my gear go, which, you know, anything can happen, I wouldn't have a problem selling my JTR gear. But you'd have a lot easier time selling SVS PB2000 than selling a PSA 18 in most, you know, communities, just because it'd be cheaper, it's easier to move around, and you can kind of blend it in better. But I definitely do, Justin. It's and people that would tell you, be like, well, PB2000 rocks my house. Well, you're rocking your house and me rocking my house and Justin rocking his house and my neighbor rocking his house. Everybody has, it's a very loose term because everybody has different expectations and expects different things and is looking for a different experience. Some people listen to 20 below reference. Some people listen to 5 below reference. Some people listen at reference. When I have my big get-togethers at the house, I mainly listen at about reference, and then once in a while throughout the day, I'll kick it up real loud for the guys that get into that. But I've had guys come to me, and which it's very hard for me to cater to, you know, to a mass like that of what volume that they want to listen to. Is a lot of guys are like, yeah, that reference, that was a little loud. I don't usually listen that loud. And then other guys are like, oh man, I was hoping, you know, that those clips were going to be back at you were going to play them back at a lot louder level, because I listen like 5, 10 above reference, and you know, it's hard to make everybody happy, but I'm trying to give them the experience of just having that low impact. So, Justin, that's a amazing question, and we're going to get into all of that here in a couple of weeks. I devoted a whole hour or two on a Friday night, man. A bunch of us are just going to knock it out. So, well, I'm on. If anybody else has any other quick questions or just want to say something, pop it in the chat since I'm already here. And all right, man. Cool. So shoot me a message, like and subscribe if you guys are getting into these kind of videos. Like I said, I just hopped on here real quick, impromptu thing. I didn't make any announcements I was coming on here. You know, people will see it through my channel. And if you wanted to follow my journey on my personal channel, on my playlist, I got the whole list of videos that have been done on my room. And I'm not saying I'm doing everything right. And the way you're doing something, the way I'm doing something could be completely different. But if I'm enjoying myself, you're enjoying yourself, then the hobby is providing to us what it's supposed to. It's just everybody having a good time. And I'm just trying to provide an outlet for everybody to kind of hang out, speak their mind, share their experiences, sharing my experiences, and just here to have some fun. So you guys have a great weekend. We got some Halloween stuff going on later today with the kids. So it's early here in Chicago. I get up at 4 a.m. It's 8:30 now. So just going to go knock out some things. You guys have a good day. 15 minutes. We wrap this up. All right, peace out.